All right, we're here. Welcome, everybody.
Yay, we did it.
To another episode of the Heliand. I did a little reading ahead.
Mm.
This is the Sermon on the Mount that we're coming up to.
Oh, I actually scanned the pages this time too.
Did
The
you?
scans didn't, yeah, so I could share it on the screen. So the scans didn't turn out super great because I was in a hurry, but I thought it'd be better than nothing for the audience so that
Oh,
they
that's a
don't just
good
have to,
idea. That's great,
yeah,
Jeremy.
so they can read along if they want.
Yeah, super.
Because of all of our Protestants in the audience who are used to reading
Yeah.
instead of listening.
Yeah, well, it's pretty moving to hear it from the Heliand. And I was thinking, I'm gonna have to read this more than once.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
we did the Beatitudes last week.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet.
So it's really good. Yeah. So while we're waiting for people to show, any news? Any news from you?
News from me. No, not really. Just working. Oh, my brother moved back in with us again, so
Okay.
he's kind of switching between chapters, going back to school, and so he's going to be staying with us for a bit. Hey, Parlato's here.
Hi,
Sweet.
Matthew.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's back in, and that's good because my daughter's moving out in a couple of months, and it looks like now we won't have to
Put him up
deal
in
with
the.
the dreaded empty nester phrase. Right?
Oh
My
yeah.
wife is like, she loathes it. It's funny.
Oh, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really hard. It's really emotional. Did you ever see the Out of Towners with Goldie Hawn and Steve Martin and their daughter?
No.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Christmas with the Cranks. I get those always
Oh,
mixed up for some reason. That's yeah, their daughter goes to college and they're supposedly having their first Christmas without anyone at home.
that's fun.
It's funny.
I mean, I think it would be fine, but it's still, yeah, it would be a little lonely. It'd be a little sad.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
hey, look at that.
Oh wow. Look
Thanks,
at you.
Upcycle.
Yeah. How
Welcome.
wonderful is
That's a nice
that?
way to say hello.
Yeah. Welcome. We had 6 viewers and it just dropped down to 1. That's weird. I wonder if
Wow.
that can't be right.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
the demons that are interfering.
yeah, it's okay.
It's okay. They won't win.
Hey, Upcycle. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna let you read because I was reading this in your voice anyways.
Okay. Let's do a prayer.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes. Let's do
Yeah,
that.
no, that's fine. Illumine our hearts, O Master, who lovest mankind with the pure light of thy divine knowledge. Open the eyes of our mind to the understanding of thy gospel teachings, and plant also in us the fear of thy blessed commandments, that trampling down all carnal desires we may enter upon a spiritual manner of living, both thinking and doing such things as are well-pleasing unto thee. For thou art the illumination of our souls and bodies, O Christ our God, and unto thee we ascribe glory, together with thy Father, who is from everlasting, and thine all holy good and life-giving Spirit, now and ever and unto ages of ages. Amen.
Amen. All right.
Was I mentioning on the air that I actually scanned it this week? They're
Yeah,
not great scans, but okay.
you wanna pop them up on the screen?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We could do that, eh? Oh, let's see. Did that work? This is a little different than I usually do it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, it's working. There we go. Share that. Okay. Can we see that?
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Okay. Yeah, this page worked great. Some of the other pages are a little blurry, like up in this corner, but we'll get through it. And somebody else wrote in their book because they don't know that this is a book, not a notebook. But anyway, okay. That's just personal preference.
But we already did this one.
Did we do this one?
Yeah,
this is where I had the.
We're on.
Oh yeah, you're right.
17,
oh shoot.
Song 17.
Oh no! Well, I didn't scan that far. Sorry.
Dang.
I get it. I know.
Next time.
I could real quick, but.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Wait. I'll sing a song.
My bookmark was in the wrong place.
What should I sing?
La, la, I don't know. Well, tell us what's summer like in the summer on a farm?
It's been hot. It's been hot and dry, and everybody's kind of like waiting for a forest fire to start right at this point in time. It's been windy and hot, and it's like your weather. It's like it's super dry, eh? The air here is really dry. So, but there's rain in the forecast.
Well, that's good.
Just hopefully there's no lightning to go with it. That's the thing. We had a fire on our farm.
Oh, really?
2013. Well, it was a lightning strike right on the border of the property. It hit a tree. And my husband, we saw it. We saw the smoke coming up. We saw the lightning. We saw the smoke. And then he went and looked at it, and it was smoldering, right? But it was also really, it was late summer, so it was really dry. And one day he kept checking it, and we reported it, and we saw a helicopter go fly over it and look at it, and they did nothing.
As is tradition.
And so then we had this one really hot, like super hot, like 35 degrees Celsius, which is, I don't know.
That's hot. Yeah. That's like 95.
Yeah. And it was windy, super windy. And I had some people here from Germany, and I said, I'm just wondering if that fire back there is going to flare up. And as soon as I said it, we saw this huge black cloud just go, which is a tree candling.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So we called it in again, and by the time they arrived, which is about 15 minutes later, it had spread, I don't know, like a quarter of a mile towards our house.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
On a hillside. And
oof, that's fast.
It was because it was like bone dry and windy. And but they sent two big tankers, air tankers, and then 5 little water bombers. And they landed in our field right beside the house with a helicopter and told us to leave. And we said, no.
Wow.
We said, you put it out.
Yeah.
Right now.
Right.
We reported this a week ago,
Yeah.
And then our neighbors came over with beer, and we sat on the porch and watched the air show.
Watch them put out the fire. Okay. I've done a couple, so we'll now I have to save it. Hold on. I saved a couple of songs.
Cool.
So that'll get us down the road anyway. Sorry for the technical error.
That's okay. It's fun to be able to see it. So that's cool.
Yeah, I think it'll be nice. It's still uploading. Come on, baby. My internet's been really slow. My phone internet's been really slow today. Probably need to restart my phone.
Matthew, I never liked writing in books, and now I write in them all the time.
Do you?
Yeah. Michael Martin does sticky notes.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about doing that, but then I thought I wouldn't know where they belonged. I have to write in them. And I've gone back and looked at what I've underlined, and sometimes I'm like, oh, that, I don't know why I underlined that. That wasn't that important.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a little time capsule, of how you're learning along the way.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. And then sometimes you'll read something you underlined and you see something completely different in it that you didn't see the first time. So
yeah. My priest taught me just taking notes on paper, and then he just fold it and put it in the back of the book. So I have like page numbers and references on the note paper, but then I'm not writing in the book. And that's I'm a not write in the book person.
Are you?
Yeah.
So who wrote in this book? Who did that?
Not me. This is a used copy. I don't know.
Used copy. Okay.
Yeah. So, okay, now I'm ready to share.
Oh, you're ready? Okay. Well, I need to ask you this. Why don't you want to write in the book?
Well, For the exact reason that you mentioned, where if I read through it a second time, I really don't want to be distracted, or I don't want to be drawn to what may have been important the last time I read it, because if it's a good book, there's going to be a whole different layer of things that I find meaning in, hopefully the second or third time through. And I just found that, like, it's like, if I used to mark in my scriptures when I was young, I would mark scriptures, and now I don't do that at all, because it's like, one, they're all important.
Yeah.
And two, it's like it keeps you from seeing more, right?
True.
It's like, I've already marked this, so now I'm not going to I'm not going to see it, and I'm not going to see anything else. That's how my brain works anyway.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. All right,
Okay.
Jeremy, let's go. This is going to be, for those watching, this is going to be really, really beautiful.
Oh, here we go. Thus he spoke. So this is Song 17, the instructions on the mountain. Thus he spoke wisely and told God's spell. The guardian of the land taught his people with a clear mind. Heroes were very eager and willing to stand around God's son, intent on his words. They thought and kept silent. They listened to the chieftain of the people, giving law to the nobly born. He promised them the heaven kingdom and said to the heroes, I can also tell you, my companions, in truthful words, that from now on you will be, for the human race, this world's light, shining peacefully among men over many peoples, bright and beautiful. Your great works cannot be hidden, nor the intent with which you proclaim them, any more than a hill fort on a mountain. A high, steep-sided hill can be hidden with its gigantic works. So also your words and deeds cannot be concealed from human beings in this middle world. Do as I teach you. Let your powerful light shine for people, for the sons of men, so that they understand your feelings, your works, and your will, and therefore they will praise the ruling God, the Heavenly Father, with a clear mind in this light, because he gave you such teaching. And I do have the footnotes. There you go.
Light is an thesimu liote. This seems to be a deliberate pun by the author, since the phrase means in this light, both in the sense of in this world and in the sense of light to be emitted by the disciples. I read that earlier and I thought, might not be a pun, actually, because it's like pneuma, right? Being breath, wind, and spirit.
Yes.
And so the people would have understood that there is light outside of you, but that there's also that same light from within, right?
Yes.
So.
Well, and this ties into what we were talking about before we started the stream, about knowing through experience versus knowing by reading,
right,
or by hearing it, right? It's like, and this is where he's talking about, so also your words and deeds cannot be concealed from human beings in this world. Do as I teach you. He doesn't say say as I teach you, or teach as I teach you.
right.
Do as I teach you. Let your powerful light shine for people,
right,
for the sons of men, right? So anyway, okay, we won't get into exegesis. Sorry, I'll keep reading. Nor should anyone who has light hide it from people, keeping it well concealed, but rather he should set it up high in the house, so that all who are inside, the heroes in the hall, can see it together. So you should not hide your holy word from the people of this country, concealing it from mankind's heroes, but instead you should spread God's command high and wide throughout all this countryside, so that everyone born will understand it and carry it out. Just as in the olden days when earls held the old law, very wise men spoke in words. So now I tell you all the more, just as it was commanded in the old law, each and every man is to serve God. Do not think for a moment that I have come to this world to destroy the old law, to chop it down among the people, and to throw, just scroll down, and to throw down the word of the prophets. They were truthful men, clear in their commands. Heaven and earth, standing now united, will both fall apart before even a minute before even a minute bit of their words, in which they gave true commands to the people here, goes unaccomplished in this world. I did not come to this world to fill the word of the prophets, but to fulfill them, to increase them, and to make them new again for the children of men, for the good of this people. It was written before in the old law. You have often heard word-wise men say it. Whosoever in this world so acts that he steals another's old age from him, robs him of his life. There's a footnote there.
Yeah, aldru means age getting older. The idea is that a murderer steals one's future time, the days of the future, which would otherwise still have been allotted to one by time and fate.
Where did we go? Oh, I lost it. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Whosoever in this world so acts that he steals another's old age from him, robs him of his life. The sons of men shall put such a person to death. I now want to add more depth to this concept, to push it further. Whosoever is hostile to another in his feelings, angry in his heart, they are all brothers after all, the blessed people of God. They belong to the clan. They are family relatives. If someone, however, becomes so hostile to another in his feelings that he would rob the man of his life if he could do so, then he is already guilty, condemned to lose his life spirit, receiving the very same sentence as the other man who by the strength of his hand robbed another earl of his head. It is also written in the law, in true words, as you all know, that one should love his neighbor zealously in his heart, be kind to his relatives, be good to his fellow clansmen, be generous in his giving, be loving to each of his friends, and shall hate his enemies, resisting them in battle, and with a strong mind shall defend himself against their wrath. Now I say to you truthfully, with greater fullness for the people, that you are to love your enemies in your feelings, just as you love your family relatives in God's name. Do a great deal of good for them. Extend friendly loyalty to them with a clear mind. Love versus their hatred. This is long-lasting advice for every man. This is how a person's feelings against his enemy should be directed. Then you will have as your own the gift that you can be called the Heaven King's sons, his happy children, and you cannot obtain anything better than that in this world. I would also like to say to you in all truth, to everyone born, that you cannot donate anything of your goods to God's house that would be worthy of his acceptance with an angry mind, or for as long as you are thinking anything hostile or vicious against another human being. You are to reconcile yourself with your opponent beforehand, talk out an agreement. Then afterwards you may donate your treasures at God's altar. Then they are worthy of the King of Heaven. You should serve God more according to his graciousness, following his will, more than other Jews do, if you want to own the eternal kingdom and see everlasting life. I shall also tell you that it is commanded in the old law that one earl must not seduce another man's woman, the other's wife, into immorality. But then I say to you in all truth that a man's eyes can quickly lead him off into murky, evil behavior if he lets his emotions goad him on so that he begins to yearn for someone who can never go with him. At that point, he has already committed a sin himself on his own and chained the penalty of hell to his heart. If then a man's eye or his right hand or any other member of his body wants to lead him off onto the path of evil, then it is better for any earl, any of the sons of men, that he remove it from his body and throw it away. It is better to come up to heaven without it than with all his members intact. A man wend his way hale and hearty to the inferno, to the bottom of hell. Human weakness dictates that no one should follow a close friend if the friend is going to urge him on to crimes, to court trials. It does not matter how closely he is related to him by clan, nor how powerful their family relationship is. If the friend is urging him to murder, pushing him to commit crime, It is better for him that he cast the friend far away from himself, avoid his relative, and not have any love for him, so that he will be able to go up to the high kingdom of heaven by himself, rather than that they both go together to the extensive tortures and hideous hardship of hell's confinement. Song 18. The instructions on the mountain. It is also written in the law in true words, as you all know, that all of mankind should avoid false oaths, that no one should perjure himself, since that is a great sin and leads people off onto the loathsome path. But I want to tell you that no one should swear any oaths at all, neither by high heaven, since that is the Lord's throne, nor by earth beneath it, since that is the Lord's bright footstool. Nor should any man swear any oath by his own head, since he cannot turn a hair of it black or white, unless God in his power decided to make it so. Earls should very much avoid taking oaths. Anyone who swears often always gets worse, since he cannot control himself. I will now tell you in true words that you are never to swear any oaths more serious and heavy to human beings than the ones that I most truly command you here with my words. If a man is on trial, let him tell the truth. Say yes if it is so. Admit what is true. Say no if it is not so. Let that be enough for him. Whatever a man does beyond that, all comes to no good for the human race, since one earl will not believe the word of another because of earls' unfaithfulness to their word. There's a footnote there.
Footnote says, untreue, disloyalty, unfaithfulness. This must not have been an easy teaching for the author to justify to the Saxons. The nobles of the warrior class among Franks and Saxons often legally proved their innocence in court, simply by swearing an oath that they were not guilty of the charge. The author makes the gospel passage intelligible by pointing out what must have been a fact under the system of Germanic law. If too many guilty earls establish their innocence through frequent false oaths, then the system will lose its credibility. An earl will not believe another's word of honor because of the frequency of incidents of untreue. Thus, the gospel system is presented as not only simpler, but as restoring faith in Germanic treue.
Then I say to you also in truth that it was commanded in the old law, whoever takes the eye of another man, separating it or any other limb from his body, he shall immediately pay for it with the same limb of his own. But now what I teach you is that you should not avenge wrongful deeds in that way, but that you humbly tolerate all the evil and wrongs whatsoever that people do to you in this world. Let every earl do good and profitable things for the other man, just as he wishes that the sons of man do good for him in return. God will then be generous with him and with every person who desires to behave in this way. Honor poor people. Share your possessions with needy folk. Do not be concerned whether you will receive any thanks or repayment in this passing world. Instead, think of your beloved Lord for compensation for your gifts. Be aware that God, the powerful protector, pays you for them, for whatever you do out of his love. If, despite that, you want to give your gleaming coins to good men through such people, because you think to make more profit in return, then why would you expect any reward from God as repayment in this world for what is only transitory wealth? So it is with everything which you do out of love of other people. If you intend to get similar things back in return in both word and action, then why would our ruler owe you anything for giving in such a way as to get back what you want in return? Give your possessions to the poor people who never pay you back in this world, and strive toward your ruler's kingdom. When you are giving your alms to the poor man with your own hands, do not do it loudly. Do it for the man gladly and humbly and for God's appreciation. Then you will be able to receive wealth in return. the very lovely payment in the place where you will long enjoy its more beautiful profits.
I just wanted to read the footnote there.
Oh, yeah, I missed it.
It's for the sentence, if despite that you want to give your gleaming coins to good men through such people.
Ah, yes, I didn't see that. Thank you.
Though the Heliand advocates helping the needy, there is a distinct ambiguity in the work with regard to the virtue of the poor. See, for example, Song 15, where the poor are portrayed as coming to the place where Jesus is teaching, not so much in order to hear him, but to take advantage of the generous crowd for donations. In this passage, people of means are simply described as good men. This pattern may tell us something of the author's social background, as well as that of his audience.
Mm. Okay. Whatever you give away in secret and with good intentions is valued by our chieftain. Do not brag too much about your giving. No one should do that, for then it will not be worth any return, miserably lost for the sake of the vanity of fame. It is before the eyes of God that you should receive the reward for good works. I shall also command you that when you want to bow in prayer and you want to ask the Lord for help, to free you from loathsomeness, from the crimes and sins that you yourselves have wrongfully done here, do not do it in front of other people. Do not tell it to everybody so that people will praise you for it and hold your action in high esteem, because then your prayer to your chieftain goes lost for the sake of the vanity of fame. If you want to pray to the Lord and modestly ask for his help, something you really need, so that your victory chieftain will take away your sins, then do it very secretly. Your holy chieftain in heaven already knows it himself, since there is nothing in words or deeds that is hidden from him. He then lets it all happen just the way you ask him when you bow down to pray with a clear mind. Heroes were very eager and willing to stand around God's Son, intent on his words. They thought and kept silent. They needed very much to think about the many brilliant things that the Holy Child had told them his first time in words. Then one of the 12, one of the more intelligent men, spoke in reply to God's Son. And that's all I've scanned so far. So let me scan some more.
Yeah, do that.
Okay.
There's a footnote. Heroes were very eager and willing to stand around God's Son, intent on his words. This section repeats the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount and thus forms a frame closing off the first part of it.
Yeah, I did like the repetition.
Yeah.
Where it kind of tied it back in. That was nice. I haven't seen any comment. I haven't been able to see the comments either. I don't know if people.
Yeah, there's not too many.
Okay.
Nothing yet.
Okay. I'm just scanning more pages here. I think it goes. I like sharing it with people. I noticed that both of us were just kind of like looking down, which is not really engaging.
True.
For a viewer. So I thought this would be a little more participatory for our audience.
That's a good idea.
Unfortunately, I only thought of it like 15 minutes before the show started. But that's how my mind works.
I think this song 19 is going to be rich. There's a lot of great footnotes for this one.
All right. Well, it's uploading. So I will stop sharing that. And go back and refresh. It's still uploading. Yeah, there's some really, again, man, I'm going to come back to, this is like reading it for the first time, like hearing the Sermon on the Mount for the first time. Like, this is so straightforward. It's such a plain rendering of the text as far as like how it's calling you to live this out in a very deliberate and yet secret way at the same time. It's like thoughtful,
Yeah.
but not
Yeah.
showy, not vain. And
Yeah. And
I'm
you
really
know,
liking this.
me too. One of the things that stood out to me was the way he talks about changing your feelings, like when
Yes.
it comes to the enemy. So it starts with it's not just an outward showing of something you don't feel. It actually
Right.
comes from the inside and works its way out, right?
Yeah.
So you have to change your feelings, and then yeah. So it's a tall order. Like
Yeah.
if you lived in a world where you hated your enemies because they could have annihilated your family, they
Yes.
taken your child into slavery or whatever the case might be, having good feelings for them is that's a tall order.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
Agreed. Oops. I forgot that the end of 19 was the beginning of 19 was at the end of this one. Okay. So,
There we go.
can you still see it?
Yes, it's good.
Okay. Oh, great. Song 19, the instructions on the mountain, the secret runes of the Lord's Prayer. Our good Lord, he said, we need your gracious help in order to carry out your will. And we also need your own words, best of all, born to teach us, your followers, how to pray, just as John, the good Baptist, teaches his people with words every day how they are to speak to the ruling God. Do this for your own followers. Teach us the secret runes.
Okay, so that is Gerite us that geruni. Teach us the secret runes. The Beatitudes were God's spell, his soothsaying on mankind's future and present happiness. The Lord's Prayer is seen as magic runes, which, when spoken with bowed head, are as powerful as any Germanic charm or spell. They give immediate results, direct access through the secret words to the powers of the other world, in this case, to the ruling God. The Heliand in Song 1 treats the entire gospel as being special secret words of this same powerful magic, taught by the Creator himself to the four evangelists. The Lord's Prayer, however, is the instance par excellence of magic words for the author, since the instructor, the mighty chieftain himself, also made its length quite similar to that of parallel Germanic spells and prayers. Interesting.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm.
Had a good word ready right after that in reply. When you men want to speak to the ruling God, he said, oh, whoops, that was sorry, I cut some off. Let me, no, this one. There we go. Okay.
The powerful one.
Yep. Do this for your own followers. Teach us the secret runes. The powerful one, the son of the chieftain, had a good word ready right after that in reply. When you men want to speak to the ruling God, he said, to address the most powerful of all kings, then say what I now teach you. Father of us, the sons of men, you are in the high heavenly kingdom. Blessed be your name in every word. May your mighty kingdom come. May your will be done over all this world, just the same on earth as it is up there in the high heavenly kingdom. Give us support each day, good chieftain. You want to read the footnote on?
Just keep going and we'll do it
Okay.
at the end, I think.
Go,
Yeah.
yep. Give us support, good day, each good chieftain. Each day, good chieftain. Your holy help and pardon us, protector of heaven. Our many crimes, just as we do to other human beings. Do not let evil little creatures lead us off to do their will as we deserve, but help us against all evil deeds.
Okay, I'll read the footnotes here.
Okay.
Blessed be your name in every word. Uordo gehuilico, in each word. By adding this phrase to hallowed be thy name, the author subtly makes this petition more active and more concrete, more demanding on the person praying. The phrase in the original is more of an abstract form of wish. And give us support each day, good chieftain. Rod, support, advice, help. The original give us this day our daily bread may have been unacceptable to the warrior nobility. Thanes, however, did honorably rely on their overlord, their chieftain, for his support in time of war and danger. It appears to have been his main reciprocal responsibility to them in return for their pledge of loyal military service to him. God, as chieftain of the human race, is conceived of in the Heliand in this early feudal relationship. We render him service. He, in turn, protects us from the hostilities of the enemy. Do not let evil little creatures lead us off, is the next footnote. Leda witi loathsome wights, W-I-G-H-T-S. Little evil beings were held responsible for many of the bad things that happened to the human race. They can be seen attacking humans with sickness and suffering in the Utrecht Psalters illustrations. Their descendants today, the medical profession might say, are less anthropomorphic, but still repulsive and aggressive, if somewhat smaller little creatures. But help us against all evil deeds. That footnote is Ubilon Dadion, evil deeds. Once again, the author changes an abstract request, deliver us from evil, into one that is concrete and one that demands action from the prayer. In addition, help us against all evil deeds contains the rich ambiguity that it can be understood both as a request to the chieftain for help against the evil deeds done against us by others, or it can equally mean a request for help against our own evil deeds.
Yeah, the Greek originally says the evil one, and deliver us from the evil one.
Yeah.
So this is kind of an expansion on that.
Yeah.
Although it kind of ties the evil one and the evil deeds in, because it has the little creatures that, that lead us off to do their will.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's all in there.
That is how you men should pray in your words when you bow in prayer to ask the ruling God to pardon the evil of mankind. If you are willing to pardon the violent crimes and sins that they do against you yourselves here, then the ruling God, the Almighty Father, will forgive your enormous deeds of evil and many culpable acts. But if your emotions get too strong for you, so that you are not willing to forgive other earls, other men, their wrongdoing, then God the ruler will also not forgive you your grim actions, and you will receive his payment, the extremely loathsome reward that lasts a long, long time, for all the injustice that you did to others here in this light, since you did not reconcile yourselves with your fellow human beings over a problem before you departed on the journey from this world. I will also tell you in truth how you are to carry out my teaching. When you wish to do your fasting to diminish your bad behavior, do not let the multitude know you are doing it. Avoid doing it in front of other men. God, the mighty ruler, knows your intention, even if other people, the children of men, do not praise you. Your Holy Father in the heaven kingdom grants your reward on the basis of the humility with which you earls serve him so devotedly among the people. You noble warriors, do not desire to acquire wealth unjustly. Do not desire to acquire wealth unjustly. Instead, work for God above your pay. That is a greater thing than living in riches and worldly possessions here on earth. Oh, work for God above for your pay. Sorry. Man. Okay, I'm going to read that sentence again. Mm-hmm. You noble warriors, do not desire to acquire wealth unjustly. Instead, work for God above for your pay. That is a greater thing than living in riches and worldly possessions here on earth. If you want to follow my words, do not collect a great treasure of gold and of silver and gold here in this middle world, a treasure hoard, because it turns to rust. Thieves steal it, worms ruin it, the clothes get torn, golden wealth disintegrates. Do your good works and collect a greater hoard for yourselves in heaven. There's a footnote.
The romantic notion of hidden treasure hoards, full of gold coins and jewels, robes of cloth of gold, must have been very popular in Germanic oral epic poetry. We know of it from the examples that were retained in written literature, for example, the treasure of the Nibelungs lost in the Rhine, and the hoard won by Beowulf at the end of his saga. In addition, recent burial mound archaeology, for example at Sutton Hoo in East Anglia, has tended to confirm that there was a real basis for belief in hidden treasure hoards. The author has transformed the hidden hoard, guarded usually by a dragon serpent, into the heavenly treasure of one's good deeds, guarded by God.
Who also described himself as a serpent.
What? Say that again?
Christ also described himself as a serpent.
Right. Yes.
One made of much brighter coins, one of which not a single enemy can take even the smallest bit away from you. Your wealth stands ready for you in heaven. Whatever good you heroes heap up by the contributions of your hands, your hoard. Keep your minds firmly set on this, because the emotions and thoughts of each and every human being, heart and mind, are where his hoard, his treasure, lies collected. Nor is anyone ever so fortunate that he is able to do both of these things in this wide world. Both live richly on this earth, enjoying every worldly delight, and at the same time serve God with gratitude. Rather, he will always abandon one or the other of these two things, either the delights of the body or eternal life. Do not worry about your clothing. Instead, keep your thoughts firmly on God. Do not be emotionally concerned about what you are to eat and drink tomorrow, or what clothes you warriors are going to wear. The ruling God knows what those who serve him well here need, those who follow their Lord's wishes. Look, you can truly understand that from these birds here in this world. They travel about in feather shirts. They cannot earn a single coin, yet God the chieftain gives them help every day against hunger.
God is depicted as having a chieftain's relationship to the birds, supplying them with his help against any threat.
Oh, there it is. You men can also determine this in the case of your clothes by thinking about how the plants that are here out in the field are beautifully adorned, blooming brightly. Even Solomon the king, guardian of hill forts, who had attained an enormous treasure, the largest jewel hoard in one man's possession, with the choicest of goods and all clothing, even though he held power over all this country, he was never able to get clothing for his body equal to what the plants standing here in this field are wearing so beautifully, the lilies with their lovely flower. They were clothed by the ruler of the land from the meadows of heaven. He cares more, though, for his clan of heroes. He loves people much more, the human beings whom the ruler created on this land, in accordance with his desires. Therefore, there is no need for you to be worried about your clothes. Do not be overly worried about your wardrobe. God will supply everything, help from the meadows of heaven, if you are willing to gain his favor through service. Always be concerned first about God's kingdom, and then act in accord with his good works. Strive for more important things. The rich and powerful chieftain will give you every good thing whatsoever, if you will follow him in the way which I am saying to you here in true words. I didn't scan song 20.
Do you want to stop here, or do you want to scan it?
I can scan it, and then we can at least get through that gets through the Sermon on the Mount, I think.
Yeah, that would be great to finish it, I think.
Oh, there's actually a song. Nope, it goes on.
Okay, well then let's save it.
Yeah, let's save it, because it goes on for like four more songs.
There is. So. I see that. Yeah. Okay, let's save it. Yeah, 4 more songs and then it's over. This is so rich, right?
Yeah, it's really it's very helpful to read it through this new lens.
Yes.
It brings a lot of things into focus that are a little more vague in the, like I'm familiar with the King James version primarily, and this one is a little more specific in some ways.
It feels more accessible,
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. This one's a little less poetic.
I was just going to say that. And I think David Bentley Hart talks about it too. Sermon on the Mount as being actually quite, what's the word he would use? Like, God only knows what he would find for a word, but it's like really down to earth instruction in not getting into debtor's prison, not lying, not all these kinds of, not getting yourself into trouble.
Yeah. It's very practical advice
Practical,
for
that's
the
the
here
word.
and now. But
Yeah,
I like how I mean, obviously Christ is saying, yeah, you do this, but it's to build up treasures in heaven. It's not to build it here. I also like how they don't use the word mammon, which is just confusing to people. How he
totally.
translated it into the picking between the things of this world or the
Treasure
things
hoard.
of the treasure hoard, right? It's like wherever your treasure hoard is, that's where your heart is.
Yeah.
And where your
That was,
heart is where your treasure hoard is. So.
yeah, and I found that really good, actually.
Yeah, it's nice.
Because you would, wouldn't you? Like, if you had a treasure hoard buried somewhere, you wouldn't go far from it. You'd be tied to it. You'd be thinking about it all the time. You'd be wondering if anyone found it. You'd be
Yes.
checking on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've noticed that when I've been around wealthy people is that they frequently think people are like that their employees are stealing from them when their employees are not like actively working all the time. They're like, why are they stealing from me? And then there's also, like a mistrust of when people come and ask for help. They're very cynical. It's a very difficult thing. I heard, I think it was Dr. Jacobs talking with a friend of his. They were talking about the rich young man, and this guy he was talking to he's a like a financial advisor, but he also has a degree in theology. And so they were talking about it, and he said, I've been studying this a lot more. And he's like, as someone who, I'm wealthy, and I also help people who are extremely wealthy.
Yeah.
He said, if they were to come, and he said, there's actually a life of a saint where this is the case, where if they were to come to Christ, and Christ were to tell, like if there was a young man who inherited one of the fortunes of the people that I work with, and Christ said, sell all you have and give it to the poor. He's like, in the scriptures, it just says his face falls.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I think the understanding that I take from that is that Christ is asking a very difficult thing from him, because it's not just easy. You can't just, when you own land and businesses
Right.
and companies, it's not like there's a lot of customers around for that stuff. It's not like you're going to have a yard sale.
Yeah. You're just going to throw it out the window and walk away.
Right. Because he said, especially in that time, what you have to take into account is that if you owned a lot of land, that means a lot of people depended on you for their livelihood.
That's right.
We're talking about families. We're talking about, your servants. And this has been going on for generations.
Yeah.
And because he was like, and apparently I can't remember the name of the saint, but she was very wealthy, and her husband was very wealthy, and they were from separate kingdoms, and they were being married in order to, for political reasons.
Yeah.
But she heard that story when she was like 19 and knew she wanted to do that. So when she got married, she convinced her husband that they needed to do that. And the families were like up in arms and like really upset, and like trying to go to the church leaders and like, you got to talk to this person, and the governor, and like the Roman governor, and like, you got to talk him out of this, the emperor, and they were just dead set on it. And there wasn't anything illegal about it, and the family was just like, they're squandering everything. How can they do this?
You're right. Because that would have been the inheritance of the next Like they were obviously royalty of some kind, no?
Yeah. She was like a princess. Yeah, she was going to
Yeah.
be like she was in the court of the emperor if she wasn't in line. But yeah, it was the family was extremely upset, and she spent her whole life
Preparing for that moment.
no, she spent her whole life, the rest of her life, getting rid of it all.
Oh, I
It
see.
took that long.
Wow.
It took 40 years or 50
Oh,
years.
so then in essence, she becomes the steward
Yes.
of
But it's
all
the
of it.
steward of giving it,
Yeah.
like because she said, like, even like families that had lived on her land were begging her, please don't do this, please don't sell this land,
Yeah, of course.
we need this, you're taking care of us, you're going to be sending us out on the street. And
Yeah.
she did it, and he was like saying, I think that's a more meaningful way to look at that story, that not that he was just, oh, he's attached to his wealth and he walked away. It was more like, oh no,
Yeah. What a job.
this is not going to be easy at all.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah,
it
we
was a
have it.
really fascinating kind of insight. I had not heard that before.
Well, yeah, it is because people who had money were like the landowners and the aristocracy. You could have called them the industry that kept everyone employed.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, they were. It was like a huge. It was like if you had. Yeah, I mean, it's like, Bill Gates trying to sell off his or Elon Musk trying to sell off his fortune, right? It's like all the things they own, all the people that work for them, and all the.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's extremely
And you
mind-boggling.
have a responsibility to those people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. There was a couple things in here. I just want to have a quick scan.
I would love that.
Oh, about the oath taking. Where is that now? Where'd it go? 85. Oh, there. I will now tell you in true words that you are never to swear any oaths more serious and heavy to human beings than the ones that I most truly command you here with my words. If a man is on trial, let him tell the truth. Say yes if it is so. Admit what is true. Say no if it is not so. Let that be enough. So, no elaborating,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Let that be enough for him. Whatever a man does beyond that, all comes to no good for the human race, since one earl will not believe the word of another because of earls' unfaithfulness to their word. And I was thinking about the state of the world that we're in right now when I read that, and how there's just this complete loss of trust.
Mm.
And if this is true, right, that you're swearing oaths to things, and what ends up happening is it would be no good for the human race, since one earl will not believe the word of another. So that is a loss of trust, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking, how does that translate into like the times we live in right now? And what are the oaths that people are taking? And I thought, oh, that's interesting, because the first thing I thought of was all the signs in the yards during
Mm.
the pandemic. I believe in science.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were like oaths.
Yeah, it's like the creed.
It's a it's a
It
it's a
is. It's a creed,
yeah.
right? It's a secular creed. Yeah.
And so then, oh, good, Dawn watched the zombie video. Cool.
I did as well.
Yeah.
It was very good.
And so how does that break down trust, Jeremy? It breaks it down because even those people who take the oath, or say the creed or whatever it is, they, in the end, over time, it disintegrates. The truth of that thing disintegrates, right? Because
Yeah.
it gets found out. And so you're
Well,
left
oh yeah,
with
go ahead.
like you're left with an oath that doesn't have any, it's like money that lost its value,
Mhm.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
How else to describe it?
Yeah. No, I agree. It's that's exactly along the line I was thinking, where, St. John Chrysostom, I read commentary on this from him, and he was talking about how there was people would they would bring each other to the synagogue to swear an oath in the synagogue on the altar. And he was like, the problem with it is that, one, you're swearing on something that's not your power to swear by. And two, it gives you it just what you were saying, where it waters down what you say outside the synagogue.
Yeah, well,
If you
ultimately,
have to go to that extreme for it to be meaningful, that means that what you say outside of that is not meaningful.
right, because you're not perfect, right?
Right.
And nothing is perfect. Everything falls down. Everything falls apart. Everything
Yeah.
breaks apart.
Yeah.
And so, and this is what I was seeing in this for the first time, reading it in Heliand about oath taking, is that what ends up happening is that you're not speaking from your integrity. You're putting your loyalty into something that you have no control over. And so and that thing will disintegrate either from within you, like you will leave after the oath taking and just be seen as a liar because you're not really keeping your oath, right?
Right.
Or the oath itself will fall apart and then you're a
Right.
fool. And so, but what happens, why does he say it's not good? All comes to no good for the human race. That's a big, that's a tall order. He's
Yeah.
telling people not to take oaths because it's not, well, what is that thing that's no good? It's the loss of trust.
Yeah. Well,
That's where
and
we are right now, I think.
yeah, I agree. Earlier in the sermon, where he was saying, everyone is your family, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're all tied. This is the old idea that, like, I was reading Saint Gregory of Nyssa, and he was talking about, like, there was a guy asking him a question about, he's like, well, he said, we say there's 3 humans over there, and he said, but that's actually a misuse of the language. He's like, there's 3 persons, but there's 1 human, because human is the nature that we all share.
Yeah.
Right. And it is that idea that, because he was talking about divinity as well. He's like, we don't believe in 3 gods. We believe in one God, because they share a nature, but there's 3 persons. And
Right.
and he said, but people are the same. It's just that we've messed with the language, and so we use it incorrectly. But he
Right.
said the reality is that we're all one human,
Yeah.
and that we're just different persons, right? And I think this relates to that, where you can't do anything that doesn't affect other people, right? Like, this is the problem with the whole libertarian mindset, of which I used to be a very firm believer, by the way.
Right.
The whole idea of, as long as it doesn't harm anyone else. Well, one, you can't judge that. You don't know. And two, there is no secret thing. Because what you do affects other people around you, whether they know about it or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it affects how you interact with them too,
Yeah.
and then three, this also carries over for the good, where, Christ is saying pray in secret and give alms in secret, but that also affects everyone else too, right?
Yes.
It's just that you're not doing it for attention, you're not doing it out of vanity, but it still helps, it still affects everyone. So
Yes.
I think this is part of that, is like you're saying, where a family is built on trust, and you have each other's back, and you're taking care of each other, right? And if you can't trust each other, then you have nothing,
Yeah.
and that just
And
radiates out.
I think that's where our society is at the moment, actually. It's just nobody trusts anything. Like, trust in the
Right.
institutions is gone. The trust in politicians is gone. They've
Right.
also sworn way too many oaths.
Right. Everything's a psyop.
Everything.
Nothing's real.
Like, and it's because they swore oaths. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to
I will uphold the
promise. I
Constitution
promise.
of
I
the, yeah.
promise. and then none of it happens, or the thing itself falls apart. It's not even true anymore, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And here's a way of bringing it really down to the daily and the personal. I mean, look at our divorce rate, right?
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah,
people don't get married in front of God, angels, and these witnesses anymore, right? They get married for whatever reason in secular ceremonies and secular, with a secular authority administrating, and no surprise that it's been reduced to a contract. It's been reduced to a business contract that can be severed at any time and by either party. And a marriage is just basically a legal contract to join assets and with a legal stipulation on how they'll be divided when the contract is severed. There's no commitment to working it out. It's always I wasn't happy. I fell out of love. I wasn't satisfied anymore.
Yeah, there's often an assumption that you'll always be the two people who got married to each other.
Yes.
Okay. And well, I mean, you could say I've been married. I'll be married 39 years in August, and you could say that we are still the same two people who got married, thank God. But we're not.
Right.
And so there's that. But then there's also, what if your partner suffers a stroke or has dementia or breaks their neck and is paralyzed, or has this long-term illness that burdens you, the healthy one, and changes who they are. Like, this is what a lot of people have to deal with. It's like, oh, that's not my husband anymore. Or that's not my wife anymore. That's not who I married. And some people can walk away from that.
Yeah.
But if you have a truly Christian marriage, Jeremy, I don't think you could walk away from that.
Right.
Or, yeah, I would hope.
I mean, the only out that Christ gave was if there was adultery, right? But even then, there's saints who say, yes, you could get divorced if there's adultery, but it's better if you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been in this position, so I can't speak from my own experience. And I just know how hard these things are. I watched a documentary a while ago about a woman her and her husband got married, and I think within 6 months of and they were like high school sweethearts and, together for years. And I don't know, it wasn't long into their marriage. He was in a car accident and he was severely brain injured. And, he would recognize her after a while of being in the same room with her. That, little memories would come back. But he always struggled to know who she was. And he was totally disabled. Anyway, she stayed with him. Okay. She stayed with him. I don't know how many years, many years. He had to go into a home, and I believe she was a Christian. He was a Christian. And then she met another man, and they annulled her marriage to this guy. They got married. And oh no, they actually had children. So they must have been married for a length of time when he had that accident. Anyway, and then they took him home with them and cared for him together.
Wow.
And they also had like a will written up that if anything happened to her, the husband would look after him,
Yeah.
for the rest of his days, right?
Wow.
Like it was like, it's one of those impossible situations, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Where the woman knew that this was her, And it wasn't just a job. Like she loved him, you know?
Yeah. Right.
And but she was also raising 3 little kids all by herself, and you know what I mean? Like
Wow.
crazy
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So
Dawn raised her hand.
I know, I saw that.
What would you like to say, Dawn? Would you like to come in? Do you need to repost the link so she can join us?
Well, I think we were talking about not being married to the person you married anymore.
Oh, well, yeah.
She said that.
My wife is very grateful that she's not married to the person that she married. I will say that.
Yeah, there's that too. Well, that's what I mean about it.
And I have to say the same. I mean, we both had a lot of growing up to do. You know,
Yeah.
we were both very feral and not very good at being in a relationship. And it took us. Well, let's see. I was married, so I'll be married 23 years in October, and it probably took us 18 or 19 of those to figure out what it meant to be married. You know, I mean, to understand what true like love really is, and what Christian love is, and what a Christian marriage is. You know, where it's a sacrifice of the will, it's a sacrifice of yourselves, crucifying yourself every day for the other person. It's awful. I mean, it's not awful. It's incredibly difficult to do, especially at first when you're new to it. So anyway, yeah, Dawn said, I am the person whose husband had a stroke too, actually. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, definitely, Dawn. That's difficult. My sister's going through that right now. Her husband is having some serious health issues. And he's been having mini strokes and things like that. So it's very difficult.
Yeah. It's not exactly the same, but my father-in-law lived with us for his last 2 years of his life, and it was very difficult. It was very difficult. There's a part of you that, you know, when he passed away, there's a part of you that's relieved, and then there's a part of you that feels very guilty for being relieved.
Yeah, I mean, I just know from my own experience with my husband when he had his open heart surgery and all. There's a long period of caregiving there, and I really struggled with feeling resentful, being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You know, feeling guilty about being resentful and overwhelmed.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
it was such a learning curve for me as a Christian.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, and I just keep coming back to the whole idea of humility, like, and I think that that's what he talks about in here too, right? Like, doesn't he mention it somewhere in this beautiful song?
Yeah, while you look for it, I'll share. Oh, did you find it? Go ahead.
Well, it's just, he says, when he's talking about giving away your riches, he says, do it for the man gladly and humbly for God and for God's appreciation. But that's for everything. Do it for the man gladly and humbly.
Yeah, with
So
no
that was the thing
expectation.
I would, you know, I mean, and I didn't have like a husband who didn't know my name. Can you imagine?
Yeah. That would be extremely hard.
Yeah.
I remember one time I was struggling. I had just come home from work. I was tired. It was hot. And, you know, I had like my father-in-law was living in a camp trailer on our property. And so I had to clean the sewer tank out a lot, and, you know, all the stuff that comes with that. And you know, I sometimes I wouldn't even get my foot through the door. Like my foot would be moving through the threshold, and he would hear me and be like, "Oh, I've been waiting for you to come home. I need some help." And I was just like, you know, so, but I remember one time praying, and I was like, "Lord, this is really hard. Please help me." And I remember hearing in that voice that, you know, is not quite a voice, but is more than a voice. And it said, do you think it would be easy to live with me? all the time. He's like, I sent him to you to teach you how to live with me.
Wow. Ooh. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh. And I started paying attention, reading the Gospels more and paying attention to those times where, the disciples were baffled. They were confused. They were afraid. They were afraid to ask him questions. They were afraid to talk to him. They were, they would talk among themselves. And he was like, hey, you guys are saying this. Is this what you want to know? And there was like, oh, yeah. And then there was that time, too, where they asked him a question and he answered. And then it said after that, they walked behind him because they were afraid of him.
Oh, wow.
And
that's a whole different perspective, Jeremy. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it helped me be patient with my father-in-law because I realized that he was showing me a part of myself that needed to die.
Yeah.
It was that part that was bristling up and who wanted to be comfortable and wanted to just get home and do what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, the way I ended up, stumbling across my own, like there's a lot of repenting going on, almost like every 10 minutes. I'd run down to my icon corner, but just like, forgive me, Lord. But it was like, I kept thinking I had the right to something. My time, my energy, my attention, my,
Yeah. I'm still fighting with that myself.
Oh gosh, me too. Like, believe me.
Yeah.
Especially because I'm introverted. So like I get really exhausted in, lots of activity. I have to withdraw. And so sometimes I take heart with how the Lord withdrew.
Yeah. Had to go up and pray. Yeah.
But he withdrew at a time when it wasn't emotionally hurtful to others.
Yeah. He'd go off in the morning. He'd go off early in the morning and pray.
Or he'd say, you go across the sea. I'm going to stay here. I'll catch up.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So that's, I put a link in, folks, twice. If anybody wants to join us, it would be great. We're just chatting it up. We just read the Heliand, halfway through the Sermon on the Mount, really.
Yeah.
And we're going to finish it next week because it's just so rich. Was there anything else in here, Jeremy, that you thought was interesting or that stood out to you?
I don't have my reading glasses. I got to pull it up on my screen. Hold on, let me look. Well, I still love that he refers to them as word wise. I like that a lot. I like that phrase. Let's see. Let me open the other one.
There was at the end of song 19, he says, he cares more, though, for this clan of heroes. He loves people much more, the human beings whom the ruler created on this land in accordance with his desires. And it reminded me of many of the prayers in the Orthodox prayer book that I have, that God is described as the lover of mankind.
Yes.
I think that's a direct reflection in the Heliand of that kind of language, right? The lover of mankind. He loves people much more. He's a lover of mankind. I love that phrase personally.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it relates to me. It relates to me, or for me, to also the phrase, because he's talking also about the lilies of the field and the birds of the air, right? And it reminds me of the let everything that hath breath praise the Lord, which is from the Psalms, right? And we sing that in divine liturgy. Let everything that hath breath praise the Lord. And when I walk out in the morning to go to work, I have one particular songbird that the Lord has sent for me as a comfort, and he's always singing. And And I always think of that phrase. And I know that that's what he's doing, because the birds, they say their prayers in the morning and they say their prayers at night, as an example to us. Everything in heaven and on earth is pointing at God. If you are paying attention, they're all paying attention to him, and they're trying to draw our attention to him as well.
I've been sleeping in a tent. I mean, I haven't done it every single night because, okay, here's the deal. I'm sleeping on a single bed in the tent, and I'm not used to sleeping in a single bed. I'm like,
oh yeah.
You turn over and you're gonna fall off, and you turn over, you're gonna fall off. So anyway, I got to sort out my sleeping arrangements because I really want to spend the nights in there. But the couple mornings that I woke up, there's 2 loons on our lake, and the first morning, the loon made this long, eerie, haunting, ooh, that really long one, and twice. And at the end of the second one, every bird in the forest started singing. I was like, it was like somebody switched the switch.
It's like call response, right?
It was crazy.
That's beautiful.
It was like 4:15 or 4:05 or something,
Yeah.
And the loon went first, and it was silent.
Yeah. Setting the drone note, right, for everyone else's song.
And then as soon as he was finished, everything else came to life. Wow. And I'm like, I got to get up.
Wow.
I got to get up. And
I
went out and sat by the campfire and just listened.
Yeah.
To the chorus. But
one time, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, one time my daughter was at a volleyball tournament, and it was early in the morning that we had to get there. And so it was like another hour before the game was going to start. So I said, I'm just going to go for a walk. And I went out, and it was it wasn't long after sunrise. And there was a field nearby, and there's a river nearby. And I just went walking toward the river. And I mean, hundreds, if not thousands of birds were singing. It was overwhelming.
Yeah.
And they were all facing the sunrise as the sun is coming up, and they were all just singing their songs. It just felt, I felt like I walked into church. I felt like I walked into a temple. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I know.
It was so beautiful. And then they sang for a while, and I just stood there. I didn't move. And then after about 15 minutes, it was just like you said, it just stopped, and they all went, and they all just flew away, right? It was just like, prayers are over, time to get to work, right? It was unbelievable. It was really, really great.
Right next to my tent, there's a grove of trees, and it was underneath, it was filled with the juniper at one time, but the juniper's dead. So it looks like just sticks under there. And it's thick and kind of hard to access. And at one point, when I was back there, this duck flew out of there. I'm like, oh, there's a nest in here. Yeah. So I went looking for it, and I couldn't find it. And finally, I found it. And I'm telling you, Jeremy, this nest was about this big around, perfectly round, deep, like a perfect bowl. And it was filled with these dark down feathers. So like a dark, I'd say black, but it's probably brown. Yeah. But there's a little white spot on each one of those feathers. And so this bowl looks like the sky with the stars in it. And then there's these 9 eggs sitting in there. Like, it's so perfect.
Wow.
You just have to be in awe, at everything about it. Its shape, its reflection of the cosmos, its significance of life, of everything, right? And so I've actually stayed away for a couple of days just because I kept disturbing her, and she's actually brooding out right now. She hasn't laid any. I checked to see if she was laying new eggs, and she's not. So, and then there's a pair of geese with 5 babies, you know, and
Oh wow.
they go by like this,
Yeah.
mom, kids, dad,
Yeah. Yeah.
everywhere they
That's
go.
fun. Yeah.
And then one morning there was another duck out there, a different kind, and she had 9 little babies. And they
Mm.
were all diving and popping. You know, I have binoculars. And, you
Fun.
know, I was thinking about birds, like, when you were just saying that, like, there are so many birds, and I thought, "Man, this place would be nothing without them."
Yeah.
It'd be nothing without the birds, you know?
Yeah.
Um, it's no wonder that angels have wings, you know?
Yes. Right. And and I mean that's one of my favorite scriptures is the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, and the man planted it in his garden, and it grew up to be a large tree, and then the birds of heaven came down and nested in it. And it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, the other day I was out just in the backyard. I don't know what I was doing, and I looked up. I noticed some birds were flying, and well, they were just like these little white shapes that were way high up. And I was watching, and they had found a spiral, the lift,
Oh,
like
the
where you see,
thermal.
the thermocline. Yeah, they had found one of those, and they were up there and just flying in it. And
Mm,
it's like they're not up there for food. They're not up there. th- it's like it's so beautiful. Like they were just up there flying. You would see them. They're not even flapping their wings. They're just riding that
yeah,
wave up, and then they'd come out of it and they'd fly around a little bit, and they'd come back down to the bottom, and then they'd get back into the bottom of it and they'd ride it up again. And
yeah.
there was probably 40 or 50 different birds. It was like there were seagulls, but there were other birds doing it with them. It was unbelievable.
I wanna read you this song, the lyrics. I can't play it because it's YouTube,
Okay.
but I just gotta find the name of it. It's one of my new favorites. Actually, I'll show you this. Show you the book that it's taken from.
And I'll read Cassandra's comment while you go away. I remember summers I would wake up. I can't bring it up to the front. I'm not one of the bosses of Grail Country. Thank God. But anyway, I remember summers I would wake up at dawn every day because I would keep the windows opened and all the birds would go crazy every morning. Yeah, it's so beautiful. I love birds.
Me
I
too.
actually, I actually have. I'll share not one of my shining moments. So I love birds. So I started feeding the birds. I had a bird feeder kind of right outside of our door. Well, the problem was the birds the birds, when they eat bird seed, they knock a lot of it on the ground, right? It's just what they do. And so I had bird seed on the ground, which drew mice and rats. And then, so we had, my wife had inherited some Turkish rugs from her father, who's Turkish. And we had them in the storage area. And then the mice ended up getting into the Turkish rugs as a result of my love of birds. And that just kind of, so now I still love birds, but I don't feed the birds at my house
Yeah.
because that was a very expensive mistake.
I feed in the wintertime, but we only have chickadees and nuthatches, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
we have finches and chicken, and we have mainly finches that eat from a bird feeder.
mhm. But I don't feed in the summer because we have a lot of windows in our house and the birds keep flying into them.
Oh
So,
yeah, I had to
I
quit feeding birds because of everything else that showed up. It was sad. Yeah, it's kind of what happened with me. I love birds, but man, it was also, I felt really horrible for bringing vermin into our house and then having them wreck the rugs. It was not good. I mean, we were able to get most of them cleaned. One of them was, chewed kind of in the middle, and they did their best to fix it. We have a rug store, like a rug. Yeah, I mean, it's a rug store, but it's kind of a high end rug store. There was a guy from Iran in our city who owns a high end rug store, so they know how to clean them and take care of them and
Yeah.
fix them and everything. But that's
Costly.
It's costly, and they're never quite the same,
No,
So
no.
it's a little sad. It was very sad. I
Dawn
felt
said she
terrible.
had to quit feeding birds too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feed black oil sunflower seeds because they toss everything
Mhm.
else out.
Yeah.
And my
Oh,
horses
yeah.
my horses, when they get out, they'll just go clean up whatever drops on the ground.
Yeah. The last straw was the possums that got aggressive with my little dog. Yeah, possums are crazy. I ran into we don't have possums here, but when I was in Seattle, my sister had chickens and ducks, and the possums would try to come in and get them. And yeah, that was there. I have some wild video footage of possums attacking chickens. They're mean.
We don't have those here. Thank
Yeah.
God. Or raccoons. We don't have or skunks, really.
We have raccoons. I don't know if we have skunks right around my house. We don't really have raccoons either. We do have rats though, and mice.
Okay, I got to show you this book now.
Okay, love it.
It's called The Lost
I
Word.
have that book. I love that book.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I love that book.
Yeah. And because, speaking of birds, right? So he says, once upon a time, words.
Hold on. Do you know the story of the book? Do you know the story of why this book was written?
No. Well, no. Tell me.
So the Oxford Dictionary was updating their children's dictionary, and they were like modernizing it, and they were removing words that don't seem to be used in children's literature anymore, and they were replacing them with like digital words and internet words and that kind of stuff. And this author was so upset that kids are not going outside anymore. They're not in forests and they don't know.
Yeah.
And so he worked with the illustrator and wrote this whole book about the words that were being taken from the children's dictionary. Yes. It's such a beautifully poignant, painful story.
Well, I'll just read you the intro. He says, once upon a time, words began to vanish from the language of children. They disappeared so quietly that at first almost no one noticed, fading away like water on stone. The words were those that children used to name the natural world around them. Acorn, adder, bluebell, bramble, conker, gone. Fern, heather, kingfisher, otter, raven, willow, wren, all of them gone. The words were becoming lost, no longer vivid in children's voices, no longer alive in their stories. You hold in your hands a spell book, which is something that the Heliand says, right?
Yes. Yes.
For conjuring back these lost words. To read it, you will need to seek, find, and speak. So what he does is he hides the words for the children to find. And but they have to find them within nature itself, right? So, and the illustrations are just here's an example.
It's such a beautiful book. I love this book. I heard Malcolm, what's his name? Malcolm
Right. That's where I saw it.
Me too.
When I was in Switzerland, and I was watching his episode on it, and I'm like, and I ordered it in Switzerland. I had to cart this thing back home with me in my suitcase.
Worth it. It's such a beautiful book. I love it.
So beautiful. Like, look at here's the lost words in here. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So not only that, Jeremy, but there's a song by a group called Spell Song.
Okay.
And this song is called The Lost Words Blessing. And I can sing you a couple of lines, but I'll read the rest.
Okay.
I have to get the right note. Enter the wild with care, my love, and speak the things you see. Let new names take in root, and thrive and grow. And even as you travel far from heather, crag, and river, may you, like the little fisher, set the stream alight with glitter. May you enter now as otter without falter into water. Look to the sky with care, my love, and speak the things you see. I can't sing it anymore, I'll cry.
Yeah.
Let new names take in root and thrive and grow. And even as you journey on past dying stars exploding, like the gilded one in flight, leave your little gifts of light. And in the dead of night, my darling, find the gleaming eye of starling. Like the little aviator, sing your heart to all dark matter. Walk through the world with care, my love, and sing the things you see. Let new names take and root and thrive and grow. And even as you stumble through mature sands eroding, let the fern unfurl your grieving. Let the heron still your breathing. Let the selkie swim you deeper, O my little silver seeker. Even as the hour grows bleaker, be the singer and the speaker, and in city and in forest, let the larks become your chorus. And when every hope is gone, let the raven call you home. I'm going to, I don't know. Can I put a Spotify link in here?
I don't know. I did find the lyrics to it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on my iPad because if I do two screens on my big thing, I lose you and I get scared.
Yeah, I'll post a. I don't know if I can post outside links, but I think you can. So I will post a link to the lyrics at least, and then people can find it.
Yeah.
I put it in the private chat.
Walk through the world with care, my love, and sing the things you see.
Yeah, it won't let me post links.
Okay, I'm gonna post. I can post a Spotify link here.
Oh, nice.
I have it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Like I appreciate you singing that, and it's beautiful lyrics as well. Thank you. It seems very related to that book for sure.
Well, it is from the book.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and well, I'll put the Spotify link just because I don't want to search something on YouTube right now. But it's called the Spell Song. Wait, no. It's called the Blessing. What? Lost Words Blessing by the band Spell Song. And it's a group of women who I think there's 4 or 5 of them, and they it's mostly a cappella. Oh, here it is. All right, so I got the link, linky, and we'll just post it here. Yeah, I was down here in this room, and I was working on wool, and I was playing it, and my daughter was upstairs with my grandson, and he stopped playing, and he started dancing like this. So she grabbed him and came down. She goes, "We came to hear it," because they've heard it before, and yeah, it just does something to him. He's only 1.5, you know.
Yeah.
So can you open that link that I popped in there, or does it? I think you can copy paste it if it won't open.
I'll try.
Maybe I'll just put a YouTube link. Let me see here.
What do you want me to play it? Or
no.
I was going to say I don't think we can.
No. That's just the. It's so terrible that we can't play music, but
no, it's dumb.
I understand.
I'm pulling it up in Spotify. My Spotify had to run an update, of course, as it goes.
Okay, I've got a YouTube.
Okay. Whoop.
Oops.
Okay.
Oops.
It started playing. But I can share the screen just so people can see what it looks like. This one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry. There you go.
Here's the lyrics.
There. So I've got the YouTube link there too. Okay. For it.
Anyway. Yeah. The Lost Words Blessing.
Yeah, there it is. And see, it matches the book, right?
See? Yep, for sure. Yep. Yeah, I can't wait to listen to this.
Oh,
this is great.
Yeah, you'll love it. And I was really I was like, what? They only have 103,000 or 114,000 listens. And how old is it? It's 2019.
Yeah.
Oh my God, every grandmother, every mother should be teaching their children this song.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there was something I told you about this before we started, but I've been reading this book, and
Yes.
something in here that is related to kind of what, the birds of the air, the lost words, blessing.
Do you want to tell them the name of the book and the author?
I'm sorry, yes. It's Pavel Florensky, The Pillar and Ground of the Truth. And it has a subtitle, An Essay in Orthodox Theodicy in 12 Letters. And I was introduced to this through Michael Martin told me about it when we were going through meditations on the tarot. And he speaks very, very highly of it. And I bought it then, which was whenever we did that series. It's a few years ago.
A while back, yeah.
But I never felt like I was ready to read it. I'm actually really glad I didn't read it until now, start reading it till now, because I don't think I would have understood anything that I'm reading. But I just wanted to read something here. He talks about ecclesiality, and he says that he or anyone else can actually define it. So he doesn't want to define it. But he calls it the name of the refuge where the heart's anxiety finds peace, where the pretensions of the rational mind are tamed, where great tranquility descends into our reason. And I just have a little patience with me here for a minute.
Sure.
Oh, here. There is no concept of ecclesiality, but ecclesiality itself is, and for every living member of the church, the life of the church is the most definite and tangible thing that he knows. But the life of the church is assimilated and known only through life, not in the abstract, not in a rational way. If one must nevertheless apply concepts to the life of the church, the most appropriate concepts would be not juridical and archaeological ones, but biological and aesthetic ones. What is ecclesiality? It is a new life, life in the spirit. What is the criterion of the rightness of this life? Beauty. And I'm reading that because I was reminded of when I was reading it myself. I was reminded that, because he gets into it, but I won't read it. I was just reminded that that is the church. The church is life, right? Yeah. And when I read that line, it is life in the spirit. Remember I told you about my dream I had that I was walking with the wind?
Yeah.
In the woods.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to share all that. I think it's very connected with this.
Yes.
These lost words.
Yes.
It's also connected with the Sermon on the Mount, where he says, do not be emotionally concerned about what you're going to eat and drink tomorrow, or what clothes you warriors are going to wear. The ruling God knows what those who serve him well here need, those who follow their Lord's wishes. Look, you can truly understand that from these birds here in this world. They travel about in feather shirts. They cannot earn a single coin, yet God, the chieftain, gives them help every day against hunger. That's what brought that all on for me. My mind goes into a million different directions. Yeah.
Well, there's also this desire or this tendency, especially, where people study the animals and they're trying to understand them and they watch them and they make all these notes and they do all these deductions, and then and then they go through we have to be objective and we can't anthropomorphize the animals and we can't assume that they're feeling emotions and everything is an object, and they're still trying to assign causality to all of these things. And it's like, why does the bird sing? Well, I think I could make just as much of a case that a bird is singing a prayer as you can make that a bird is marking its territory for the other birds in the area for the morning because of breeding season and all this. It's just like we're so excited to try to assign causality, but most of these things you can't get to the bottom of it. You can't get to the bottom of why these things happen. Why do you see why are the birds just floating on the heat rising during the day? Give me the causality behind that. Really, like, what's your material explanation?
You know what?
For
Science,
why the bird is doing that, right?
right.
Yeah.
Science hasn't
insane.
been able to give us a good reason why ravens play
Right.
in the air. Why they, for no reason at all, because here's the deal, it's an expenditure of energy. And if an animal is just a machine that eats and reproduces, then it's going to want to conserve energy. But no, they play.
Yeah.
Did you know
All
that
kinds of animals do. Whales and dolphins, and they tease each other, they pick on each other, they play tricks on each other.
It's often the most desired state of being amongst animals is this state of play. The last thing that they think about is food, actually. So play ranks very high, and then community, and then food. That's kind of how it goes for horses, for sure. And I got to see a raven funeral once in my field out here. It was one of those privileges that I don't think will ever be repeated. It's one of those once in a lifetime moments. But there was a raven that was hopping around out here. He wasn't well. He couldn't fly anymore. And I don't know if he was just old or if he was injured. I couldn't get close to him. I tried, but he could hop pretty good. And he was in a pasture that the dogs couldn't get into. And my son was about 14 or 15 at the time. And anyway, he said to me, "Mom, that raven died. He's out in the field up there." And I said, "Oh, no," because he'd been hopping around out there for quite a while. And he was going to show me where it was. And we were walking up towards it. And then all of a sudden, and here we see two, maybe right now I've got a family of them, and they just brought the kids for babysitting. That's every year. They drop them off in my sheep pen because the dogs can't get in there, and the kids all hang out. I can walk right past them on the road, and they are all sitting on the fence post. But anyway, you never see more than 2 or 3 ravens at a time around my house. And all of a sudden, there's this flock of ravens. I mean, I would say there was anywhere between 50 and 70, maybe 100. I don't know. Lots. Okay. And they were swirling in like a spiral like this. It was coming down. And this dead raven was laying on the ground in the field. And my son and I we were walking up, and we just stopped in our tracks. And this tornado looking spiral of ravens. One raven at a time would drop down, fly over, and fly off, and then fly up at the top. And they all went by one at a time, Jeremy. Now, I don't even know where they came from.
Wow.
It was like you didn't see them all coming. It was like all of a sudden they were there. This body, it was in a shape.
Yeah.
And it was grieving the loss.
Yeah, they were venerating him. Yeah.
And venerating him. Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
My son and I stood there like we with our mouths hanging open. Like we still talk about it, him and I, that we got to do that. It was so unexpected and so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't have I have like very little time for people who talk like that about animals, and
Right.
unfortunately, this is where my humility needs to kick in a little more. I feel really like I can't even take them seriously after that.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you haven't realized that there's more to this than that, then I don't want to hear anything else you have to say. I get very arrogant about it. It's not good.
I I have a related story that I'd like to share.
Oh, cool.
Um, it's from Anthony Bloom's book, Beginning to Pray, which is,
Mm,
by the way, if you haven't read that book, it's a beautiful book. It's not thick at all, but it's very helpful. But I love this story. I've told this story 5,000 times. I love this story. In the life of Moses in Hebrew folklore, there is a remarkable passage. Moses finds a shepherd in the desert. He spends the day with the shepherd and helps him milk his ewes. And at the end of the day, he sees that the shepherd puts the best milk he has into a bowl, which he places on a flat stone some distance away. So Moses asks him, what is it for? What it is for? And the shepherd replies, "This is God's milk." Moses is puzzled and asks him what he means. The shepherd says, "I always take the best milk I possess and I bring it as an offering to God." Moses, who is far more sophisticated than the shepherd with his naive faith, asks, "And does God drink it?" "Yes," replies the shepherd, "he does." Then Moses feels compelled to enlighten the poor shepherd, and he explains that God, being pure spirit, does not drink milk. Yet the shepherd is sure that he does, and so they have a short argument, which ends with Moses telling the shepherd to hide behind the bushes to find out whether, in fact, God does come drink the milk. Moses then goes out to pray in the desert. The shepherd hides. The night comes, and in the moonlight, the shepherd sees a little fox that comes trotting from the desert, looks right, looks left, and heads straight toward the milk, which he laps up and disappears into the desert again. The next morning, Moses finds the shepherd quite depressed and downcast. "What's the matter?" he says. The shepherd says, "You were right. God is pure spirit, and he doesn't want my milk." Moses is surprised. He says, "You should be happy. You know more about God than you did before." "Yes, I do," says the shepherd, "but the only thing I could do to express my love for him has been taken away from me."
mm,
Moses sees the point. He retires into the desert and prays hard. In the night, in a vision, God speaks to him and says, "Moses, you were wrong. It is true that I am pure spirit. Nevertheless, I always accepted with gratitude the milk which the shepherd offered me as the expression of his love. But since, being pure spirit, I do not need the milk, I shared it with this little fox who is very fond of milk."
mm. You know, I just read a poem that I wrote on Rigel's live stream last Tuesday about this, and I'm going to read it again here.
Okay.
It's not. It is. It's called Waking Up Early. My cat wonders, why so early? Quick belly scratch. I heave the duvet off my warm body, cold air over my limbs lifting me. The ritual begins. I think I'll find God in these early morning hours. I think he will join me as I shake off the weariness of the night. And I do. A puppy stares through the window, wondering. I wanted to see what she does while she waits. I wanted to be first. But the sun woke her. I think they know him. They who rise with warm rays and sleep with the silver of starlight. They who breathe in and out without a worry, unburdened. I see it in their eyes. They have no questions. They breathe in and out. I think if I rise early, he will speak to me. I think if I rise early, I will see the stillness of a house broken by revelation. I think if I rise early, there will be something waiting for me. And what's not entirely clear, because it's a poem, and I like to hide my stuff in my poetry, is that I'm thinking about how God's going to show up for me, right? I'm excited about how I'm going to conjure up God in a way.
Right. Yeah. Catching Santa Claus, delivering the presents. Right.
Yeah. And so I'm like, thinking about that, and what's there to greet me is a puppy staring at me in the window.
Right.
That's what I'm missing,
Yes.
And
It's the bird singing when you walk out the door.
Right. And it's like the story of Moses. It's the little fox lapping up the milk, right?
Yes.
And then in that Sam Spencer was in that conversation with Rigel, and he said something about all creatures. I can't remember. You can go back and watch it. He said a really good thing.
Oh, was it the Psalms? Was it the Psalm?
Maybe.
Or...
well, it was like something about the seeing God in the eyes of the creatures, or God sees us through the eyes of the creatures, or whatever. It was like that. It's something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that, that's that little story reminded me of, we rationalize God, right? We think, oh, this is how it's going to happen. I'm going to get up early. I'm going to say my morning prayer. I'm going to read the prayers from the Orthodox prayer book. I'm going to light the candle. I'm going to do the things, which is all good.
Right.
But you ignore the thing that is actually there. If I think if I rise early, something will be waiting for me. And it is.
Yes.
Right? It's right out the window.
If you have eyes to see it. Right. Yeah. And ears to hear. Right.
Yeah. Yes, lots of good recommendations, hey, Don. Yeah. The Pillar and Ground of the Truth. It looks like one of these, like, what do you call it? Like tomes of, theology, but it's written in 12 letters, and it's very personal, and it's very well written. And it's so far, I haven't gotten that far in it. Like, I'm only this far, see, just a few pages.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I closed it, I could hardly wait to get back to it. Like, it's very enjoyable. And I'm not a textbook reader. Like, I mostly read just storybooks for years, and I hated reading, texty kind of books. So, yeah. Well, I think we're good.
I think Jeremy, so.
You look like you're fading on me here.
I'm a little tired. Yeah, it starts. So I have an older dog, and she can't wait as long to use the bathroom as she used to. So the first bark is at usually 1, and then there's another bark at 3.
Yeah.
And then there's a bark at 4 because she thinks it's time for breakfast. And then my alarm goes. So then this morning I did take her out again at 4, but I didn't feed her because I'm trying to get her out of this habit. Yeah. But I think she's eventually going to win. And then at 5 is when my alarm goes off. So,
oh man,
it's okay. She's an old dog, and she's been a good friend, and so it's an honor to do little things for her to make her a little more comfortable. And she can't hold it anymore. She needs to go out. So she barks, and I have the dog duty during the week, and then my wife takes the weekends. So
okay.
So it makes it so I can't stay up much past 9 without getting pretty tired.
Well, that's lovely. I love it that you're that caring towards your dog. That's wonderful.
Well, I have always liked I've always liked the animals, and I've always and as I've gotten older and hopefully a little wiser, I value it even. I value my relationship with dogs and with animals even more. I think um I think my animals talk to me, I talk to them. We know each other. Sometimes we say words, sometimes we don't. You don't need to. They don't need to. You don't need words when you're with animals. And I've always felt very close. I remember my grandmother told me one time, she said, if you ever have a girl you want to marry, you got to bring her over here. And the horses will tell us.
Yeah.
And, I brought a couple of girls over and the horses were
not impressed.
Not impressed. Yeah, the horses would head to the bottom of the field. And but then this one time I brought a girl over I was dating in high school, and the horses came right up to her and nuzzled her, and she was nuzzling them and petting them, and they were petting her, and it was beautiful, And my grandma looked at me, and I looked at my grandma, and I was like, I didn't end up marrying that girl, but she was a very loving and innocent person. She was a very good person.
Well,
and the horses knew that immediately,
Yeah, they know.
So I've learned to trust animals. I probably trust animals more than I trust people.
Yeah. Well, I recently watched what's his name now? Jesse Hake. He has a Substack called Copious Flowers. And he did a webinar on how animals will be in heaven with us. And I'm like, what? I'm watching it. So I signed up. It was free.
Yeah.
And I never got to finish it. I have to watch the recording. My life has just been like crazy busy.
Yeah.
But he was. It was wonderful to be in this, like, I couldn't see all the other participants, right? You're just watching them talk. It was 3 guys, but they've all written books about their relationships with animals, and of course, then there's Rupert Sheldrake, who just did a video. If you want to watch it, it's really good. How animals say goodbye, take leave when they're going to die. He's done a lot of, like, had people write in about their experiences, and he shares some of those. So there's a reason that saints and animals go together.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a big reason.
Well, we read about that the last live, where there was that young man who would stand on the rock and he would tell all the sheep to stay in the circle, and he would command them in the name of Christ to stay in the circle. And they would wait until he finished his prayers, and then they would all leave. Yeah, there was also there was another saint, I can't remember who it was. He was a forest saint, and the animals would all come in the morning and sit there while he prayed, and then after he finished his prayers, he would turn and he would give each animal a blessing.
Yeah.
And they would go off in the forest, and so
yeah,
I've spent most of my life as a barbarian, and so now I'm trying to
well,
be a little more civilized.
We have a graveyard for many of our pets. There's some horses in that graveyard, there's some, and it's washed out now, but when the kids were little, this is like 20 years ago, we made a cross there for the graveyard, and they put they wood burned all creation groans and waits.
Yeah.
And every time one of them died, and sometimes the deaths were tragic, sometimes they were old age, but whenever any of them died, you have to participate in that suffering, right?
Yes.
I would repent. Because they're all waiting on us, people.
Right.
We need to get our act together.
Yes.
Yeah. They're waiting on us. And I would ask them to forgive me for being so stupid.
I have
to learn.
I have a photo I want to share related. I took this last spring.
Oh,
There's a house in my neighborhood, and it's an old crazy guy and his old crazy wife, and they have like an acre in a place where no one has an acre anymore.
yeah.
And
They've
this
sanctified.
is, yeah, this is in their orchard under their apricot trees, and this is in the spring, as you can see. And I asked him about it one time, and he said that at first it was just a cemetery for their kids, for their animals, like the pet mouse or the pet
Right.
hamster and pet goldfish. But then he said other kids in the neighborhood were also sad, and they wanted to bury their animals there.
Oh,
I mean, you could see there's
yes.
hundreds
That's
of
beautiful.
pets who have been buried in this lot. Yeah, and they go through every spring and they mow all the grass out and all the flowers come up, and it's just
Wow.
it's very moving. Yeah.
Well, we've had a recent death on the farm. So I have 2 geese and a gander, and the gander went missing the other day.
Yeah.
And there's a little story because
Oh,
one of my
oops.
dogs,
That's yeah.
one of,
Anyway,
one of my dogs didn't come down for breakfast, and I could hear her after the gander. It was the morning I realized the gander was gone, and I could hear her barking over the hill, kind of thing. And I called her for breakfast, but she wouldn't come. And then finally, towards the end of the day, she came down for supper, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I was wondering if perhaps she was laying by the carcass of the gander, so the predator, whoever killed him, couldn't take it, because that's what these dogs will do. They won't let the predator have it. And anyway, she came down, and I think what happened was the predator picked up that carcass right away when she left, and then was, running past our place. Has to come past our place somehow. My other dog caught wind of it, and he went out and got it.
wow.
And he brought the goose home, and I was coming out to bring the dogs their dinner in the evening, and I called him, and he was standing behind the fence with the horses, which he can get through. There's a small spot where he can get through, but he wouldn't come, and he was barking the horses away from the corpse of the gander. So I saw the corpse, and I was like, "Oh, Hulk, you brought him home." And he was half eaten, but anyway, I brought him in because Hulk wouldn't leave it there. And then I put the body beside the wood stove outside. We have an outdoor wood stove. And I left it there all night. Not one of my 3 dogs ate that goose. And not one of them would let any other animal near it. The ravens couldn't go near it. My daughter's dog couldn't go near it, right? And now I've got his mate. They've been together for like 5 years. She's out there crying, calling him. We all have to get past this a little bit,
Yeah.
But it's just that's like dogs and geese, and the ravens are all part of this too. I mean, we burned the body, so they can't get a hold of it. But this is a thing that's happening. Like, this is not just an objective, like, oh yeah, dogs eat meat, so they're going to eat. No, they don't. Sorry.
No. Right. No.
So what's that?
Yeah.
It's respect.
Yes, and it's a universal language.
Yes.
Right. That transcends
Yeah.
dogs. Right. Or it's like you're all grieving.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And showing respect to a fallen friend. Right.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
It is.
Well, there's our little neighborhood pet cemetery.
I
don't
love
know.
that. That's just, you know, this is like you said, this couple are elderly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the wisdom that we need in this world.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on here, Jeremy,
Yeah.
that these people are sharing. Flowers amongst death.
Right.
Think about it. So, and that's only one little aspect that I'm looking at.
Well, and also giving a place of respect and honor.
Yeah.
For the children to be able to honor their pets, right? To give
And
them
who,
a respectful
who,
way to say goodbye and to take care
right?
of, to give them a place to rest where they will not be bothered or disturbed or,
Yeah. And who wants to participate in the death? Who doesn't want to participate in death anymore?
Right.
It's the little children, right?
Right.
What does the Bible say about little children? A little child shall lead them.
Yeah.
And the rest of us, smart adults, we just cremate the body and then have a, celebration of life instead of death.
Yeah.
But look what the children have done. Look at what the children have done here.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. There's a lot going on here for me.
Amen. Yeah. I'll send you this picture.
Thank you.
Yeah. And with that,
All
I am
right.
going to go to bed. Yeah. I'm tired, but it's
All right.
been a joy as usual.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, and
Thanks.
we'll see you all next week.
God bless all of
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you for coming.